So I just want to show you an invisible zip using the red thread on the white fabric, just to give you a contrast of what's happening. So this zip here, this is actually the ivory silk habotai. And as you can see, you can't even see the red stitching. And it's nicely finished here at the bottom of the zip as well. So for this section, you will need a invisible zipper foot, and you'll also need a normal standard zip foot. So make sure you have those available. So let's have a look in a bit more detail. You can see here there's 2 rows of stitching. I've taken the zip and I've placed it matching the top notch of on the pattern piece to the plastic part here. I've machined on the zip tape using a normal sewing foot, and then I've exchanged it for the invisible zip foot in order to get close underneath to get a really close finish. Make sure that when you work at the bottom, again, you want to make sure there's no blemish or anything here, and that's usually what happens with invisible zips. And the way that you counteract that is when you machine from the bottom going up, you'll use this foot here. That enables you to get really close to the previous stitching, and you actually want to go a couple of stitches over, and you're 2 millimeters in front. So even though you're actually in front of that stitch, it will still lie flush on the outside of the fabric. So just be aware of that. That's how we're going to do the bottom part. I'll be doing it in a matching colour thread, but I wanted you to see that just so that you can check and make sure you can see what's happening. Here on the back, I have applied one of the sides already. So remember, you've got the 3 notches on the pattern at the back, which just marks the centre back. And then the next notch is the one that you align the top of the plastic. So it's not actually the top of the zip tape, it's just where the plastic part is. That's where you align it first. You're going to machine down. And another thing to remember is you don't machine all the way down to the metal part of the foot. You actually need to leave 3 centimeters at the bottom. So just mark that 3 centimeters, and you can mark it on both sides. I'll show you how to do the other side just so you can see. Place the other pattern piece right side facing up. Then you're going to unzip the zip. Now you have got another notch here which is on the waistline, and what I've done is I've just marked that on my zip tape. So just zip up the tape and then just transfer that mark to here, because when you line that up you'll know you're in the right position. Then you're going to move that zipper over. You don't stitch it that way, right side facing up. Just make sure that you turn the zip again like so, so you've got the wrong side of the zip facing up. So the right side of the zip is matching the right side of the fabric. Again, we're just going to line up the edge of the zip tape with the seam allowance here, and remember the top part is in line with the notch. Pin that into position. So we're going to be machining down, so just place the pins at an angle in this position. So I'm going to do my next one on the notch here just to make sure that I'm in alignment. And then that enables me to just pull that apart and then place a pin in the center there as well. Again, I'm only going to be marking taking the stitching down to the notch here, which is 3 centimeters above the metal part of the zip. So just make sure that's in alignment, like so. And then we'll just pin that in position. So move this side out of the way, move the machine I've also got the needle as close to the left as possible. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to place that underneath the sewing machine. And I'm going to fold back my tape at the top so that's out of the way. You can actually use a pin to hold that if you need to. But you should be able to just catch it here like so. 2.5 stitch length. And just make sure again, just want to make sure that's in the right position. Yep. There we go. And then take that pin out. And I'm just going to machine that line down to secure the first row of stitching. Back tack at the bottom where we've put that marker. Trim that off, change the foot to the zip foot. This is the invisible zip foot. Yours might have an attachment, it depends what machine you've got. Just going to put the needle in the center and then bring that through to the back. Start from the top again. And then you just want to move that tape out of the way just so you can actually get the groove of the zipper foot, the teeth of the zip inside the groove. It will naturally fall in eventually if it doesn't at the beginning, but it's good to sort of push it out of the way just at the start just to make sure that's in the right position. Finish at the same point here. Change the foot. And then we're going to release that from the bottom, and then we're just going to add the normal zip foot to do from the bottom of the hem going up. Can do is just double check the zip works, okay? So just zip that all the way up. Make sure it's not catching on the way. Yeah, that looks good. Perfect. And then we'll align the bottom here. So pin on the side with the seam allowance going towards the right, and then make sure they're in alignment there. Make sure the foot is in the right position, so we want it to be coming close up this way here. So make sure the foot there is in the right position. Just going to mark, make sure I'm at a 1.5 seam allowance. And then remember, you want to just, as you start getting a bit closer, you're just coming in front of that stitch, about 2 millimeters in front, and you're only going over a couple of stitches over, so you can see where it finishes here. So you know, well, you can see it just there. Okay, so you can go a bit slower as you get a bit closer. there I just went over a couple of stitches and I'm 2 mil roughly in front. So we're just going to remove that, cut that off the back there. Let's just have a look. See how that fits. So I'm just gently moving the seam out from underneath, and that's the invisible foot. So I'm just going to do a gentle press on here, invisible zip. Do a gentle press. You never want to press directly onto the center, even with the muslin on top. Okay, so I'll set the iron up and I'll show you what to do next. So just trim away any of the loose threads that you have, top and bottom, make sure they're okay. And then first thing we want to do, I'll press it without the muslin cloth, but just bearing in mind you might want to use that. Just going to press that flat from underneath, like so. And then I'm going to open the seam, so I'm going to lie that over the sleeve. And I'm just going to push that open. Make sure that sits nice there. So lift up that zipper at the bottom. Take out any tailor tacks that you might have in the garments. And then just going to gently just iron that seam flat. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to move that dart off of the sleeve, and I'm just going to gently press each side of the foot. So I'm just going to do that on the other side as well. And then at the top, we will move that side out of the way, and then you just want to press in your seam allowance. So you know your seam allowance is 1.5. You can mark it if you like, or if you can do it by eye, that would be great. And then again, just going to press that in. And then just repeat that on the other side. Just going to move that out of the way just so you can see what's happening. Again, just fold that back there, make sure it's in the right position. And then gently press that flat. Like so. Just flip it over, make sure it's sitting okay. If there is any creases, don't forget to use the muslin cloth on the right side. We will give it a press at the end as well. So here you can see take those tailor tacks from the garment. But there you can see it's nicely in the garment there, which is great. And then just check, make sure that opens okay as well, all the way down. Perfect. And it's nice and secure at the bottom here. Just cut any excess thread off. And that's a really nice zip that's gone in there. Okay, so that's the invisible zip. We're now going to move on to the bias binding, which will be relevant for the armhole and also the centre back. So that will be the next stage.